Imagine this, tomorrow. You're going to meet someone you've never seen before. Maybe it's your future boss. Maybe it's your future best friend. Maybe it's the person you'll fall in love with. Now, here's the strange part. Before they even finish saying their name, your brain will already make a decision about them. Trustworthy, confident, friendly, dangerous, or someone to avoid. The crazy thing is, you won't even realize it's happening because your brain is incredibly fast. Long before you start a conversation, it has already collected dozens of tiny clues, and all of it happens in less than 30 seconds. But here's the question. What exactly is your brain looking at? Most people think the answer is simple: the eyes. After all, everyone says, the eyes never lie. But that's not actually where your brain starts. Imagine someone walking into a room. For just 1 second, forget their face. What do you notice first? The way they walk, the speed of their steps, how much space they take up, whether they look around or stare at the floor. Without knowing it, you're already collecting information, because movement tells a story before words ever can. Think about this. Have you ever seen someone from across the street and instantly felt, I don't know why, but something feels off? You hadn't spoken to them. You knew nothing about them. Yet your brain was already warning you. Sometimes it was completely wrong, but sometimes it was right. Why? Because for thousands of years, our ancestors didn't have time to interview strangers. Imagine living thousands of years ago. A stranger appears over the hill. You have only seconds to decide, friend or threat. Waiting 5 minutes to gather more information could be the last mistake you ever make. So the human brain learned something incredible. It became a prediction machine. It looks at tiny details and guesses what might happen next. Even today, your brain is still playing the same game. Only now. The stranger isn't carrying a spear. They're carrying a laptop, or a backpack, or a cup of coffee. The world changed. Your brain didn't. But here's where almost everyone makes a mistake. People think reading someone means judging them. It doesn't. Reading someone means paying attention, because there's a huge difference between saying, that person looks rude, and saying, that person seems uncomfortable. One is a judgment. The other is an observation. And observations are usually much more useful. Now here's something fascinating. If you want to understand someone in the first 30 seconds, don't start by watching their face. Watch what they do before they know anyone is watching, because those few seconds often reveal more than the next 30 minutes of conversation. And that's exactly where the biggest clues begin. So, what should you actually watch first? Believe it or not, the answer isn't the face. It's what happens before the face. Imagine you're sitting in a coffee shop. The door opens. A stranger walks in. Before they smile, before they speak, before they even notice you, your brain has already started collecting clues. How fast are they walking? Do they stop for a second? Or move with a clear purpose? Do they seem relaxed? Or do they look like they're searching for the nearest exit? None of these things tell you exactly who they are. But together, they tell you how they feel. And feelings shape behavior. Here's a simple example. Think about the last time you were nervous. Maybe it was before an exam, a job interview, or your first date. Did you walk exactly the same way you normally do? Probably not. Most people don't. Some walk faster, some slower. Some keep checking their phone. Others pretend to be busy without realizing it. Your body starts speaking for you, and that's exactly what your brain is listening to. But here's where many people get fooled. They confuse nervousness with dishonesty. Those are not the same thing. A nervous person isn't always hiding something. Maybe they're simply shy. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're standing in front of someone they admire. That's why one clue is never enough. The best observers never jump to conclusions. They collect evidence. One clue becomes two. Two become three. And slowly, a pattern begins to appear. Think of it like solving a puzzle. Would you guess the whole picture after finding just one piece? Of course not. People work the same way. Now here's another mistake almost everyone makes. They pay attention. Only when someone is talking. But some of the most honest moments happen in silence. Watch someone while they're waiting. Waiting for the elevator. Waiting in line. Waiting for a friend. Nobody is performing. Nobody is giving a speech. For a few seconds, they're simply existing. And those quiet moments often reveal habits that are difficult to fake. Some people stay calm. Some become restless. Some observe everything around them. Others disappear into their own thoughts. None of these habits are good or bad, but they tell you something important. They show you what feels natural to that person. Now let's test this idea. Imagine two strangers enter the same room. The first immediately starts talking, laughing, shaking hands, trying to impress everyone. The second says very little. They spend the first minute watching the room, listening, smiling occasionally. Who understands the room better? Most people would probably choose the first person. But surprisingly, it's often the second. Because while everyone else is trying to be noticed, they're busy noticing everyone else. And that's a skill almost anyone can learn. But there's one signal that's even more powerful. In fact, it's so reliable that experienced negotiators, interviewers, and investigators often pay attention to it first. It has nothing to do with eye contact, nothing to do with a handshake, and almost nobody realizes they're giving it away. So, can you actually trust your first impression? The answer is both yes and no. Your first impression is incredibly fast. Sometimes, it's surprisingly accurate. Other times, it's completely wrong. Why? Because your brain wasn't designed to know the truth. It was designed to make a prediction, and predictions are never perfect. Imagine seeing someone with crossed arms. Most people immediately think they're unfriendly. But what if they're simply cold, or tired, or having a difficult day? The same behavior can have completely different reasons. That's why the smartest observers never ask, "Who is this person?" Instead, they ask, "What else could explain this?" That one question changes everything. It slows your judgment and makes your observations much more accurate. Here's a simple experiment. The next time you meet someone, don't try to figure them out immediately. Instead, spend those first 30 seconds paying attention. Notice how they enter the room, how they treat the people around them, how they react when something unexpected happens. Don't search for a single answer. Search for a pattern, because one moment can be misleading, but repeated behavior rarely is. And perhaps that's the biggest lesson of all. Reading people isn't about becoming better at judging them. It's about becoming better at understanding them. The best leaders, the best negotiators, the best investigators, they all have one thing in common. They stay curious. They notice small details, and they resist the urge to jump to conclusions. Because every conversation reveals another piece of the puzzle. Now think back to the beginning of this video. Tomorrow, you're going to meet someone you've never met before. Within seconds, your brain will begin making predictions. The difference is, now you'll understand what it's doing. You'll notice more, question more, and judge less. Because the goal was never to read people faster. The goal is to understand them better. And sometimes, the most important thing you can learn about someone isn't in their first 30 seconds. It's what those 30 seconds inspire you to keep discovering.